What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Yakgear. If you guys saw a couple videos ago, I actually did have the opportunity to go fish the Tangier Classic 2022 again. So if you guys want to see how the stuff that I'm reviewing today is performing, just definitely check out that video. 2022 Tangier Classic, I think it's called Light Tackle Marsh Stripers or something like that, but anyhow, just check that out. That's where you can actually see this gear in action, or some of it here anyways. But I want to just cover three items that one I actually kind of had an issue with, that I found a kind of a fix, I guess if you want to call it that. It's tough because this year I didn't catch as many fish as last year, and it wasn't as hot as last year. So I don't know if it fixed the problem, but it definitely, I feel like it kind of did its job, my little adjustment here. But I will say that this is probably going to be only a tournament fix, especially because it's going to be more critical that I get a proper measurement, and I can't have my bump board breaking on me. But anyhow, if you guys have seen prior or not for that matter, what I did actually end up reviewing on a little bit ago was actually the Yakgear Fishstik. I think that's what they call it. Yeah, the Fishstik they call it, right? So I love this board. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I like how it folds. I like how it floats. If honestly, I don't think I caught it on video, but even during this tournament, it was so windy, so choppy that this thing had actually slid off my kayak and it actually floated. Probably helped that I had this little thing on the back of it, but it does float because I even, when someone needed one, I actually threw this over to them in the water and they just kind of picked it up off the water. So it definitely floats. So that is awesome. It's actually saved me twice already, that I didn't lose it because it floats. So that's awesome in itself. But the issue that I had was this part right here. You actually see that I put a little screw here. I think a lot of tournaments nowadays, they're requiring, actually for the freshwater tournaments anyways, they're requiring you to use the catch boards, KETCH, the metal ones. But so far, at least for the tournaments that I fished, they don't require it, or it's by weight, so it doesn't really matter. I felt like this solves a problem for me anyway, generally speaking. So all I did was throw this little screw into the board right there, because the issue was that when it gets hot, those hot days, this little clip here starts bending on you. So even though I lock it into place like that, when it starts bending, this part bends upwards and it comes off the little plastic notch that's there. I'm not sure if you see it, but the little plastic notch. So what I did was I actually put a screw there, so it actually kind of locks into place a little bit, if you can't tell there. So that's the one upgrade that I did, so it doesn't pop off. But the thing is, I still did realize that it still does bend on those hot days that I realized when I actually fished fish and paddle tournament. It was hot. It was bending. So what I did was, I took they have the slots to screw it in for use on boats and stuff like that. So what I did was I just took a little piece of tow kickboard. It's for your cabinets and stuff that I guess you could buy at your Home Depot, right? You'll see that it kind of sits flat. I mean, I know that this part's a little up, but the main point is that you don't want it bending the opposite way, further than you want it to, right? So this board is rigid enough so that it's not gonna pop open or go too far that it pops loose and goes down the opposite way, right? So that's why I added this for the tournament purpose. And honestly, not once did it bend, or did I feel like when I was pressing down on the fish. You'll see, if you look at the 2022 Classic tournament, you'll see that I'm kind of pressing down on the fish. Not once did I feel like it was bending to the point where it's popping out. So I did do this, but like I said, I think I'll probably only do this for tournament uses, because it is bulky, and even if you have that, when you fold it, it's still sticking out. So I don't want that. I want to be able to stash it. So like I said, just all I did was screw it in the middle there, and 2 on the top there just to hold it. So that's kind of that. So I love the catch board, but just to be safe during the tournament, this is what I did to kind of make it more secure and not be at risk of not being able to measure my fish properly. So that is that. The other items that I actually said that I was going to try out this year, I'm actually really liking as well. So it is, it is the Sixgill Octant Rods. I didn't see too many reviews on this. The only thing I heard was people saying that it felt a little heavy. To be honest, it did not feel heavy. It actually felt very nice. I did get the 7'4" medium heavy and also the medium. Yeah, just to kind of give myself range. I got the medium heavy. But I actually really grew kind of fond of this. With the medium, I had the 10-pound test line lined up to it. I mostly used it for casting my paddle tails. I got a trout trick on here right now, but yeah, I was casting out the paddle tail. It's mostly for for me targeting structure to cast to, and the light line definitely helped me get to the points, especially on this windy day. It allowed me to get out there and get to the points with no problem. The other one, I actually do have 15-pound test on the medium heavy one, and I majority of the time used that when I was either trolling or casting the heavier stuff. Like either use like a bigger paddle tail. I think I used a spoon on that at one point. But I love the action on these rods, and you'll actually see in the videos there. I've like I said, even when I was trying on the bend on them, there's phenomenal, great backbone for what they are. I put it to the test, to be honest. I think I caught upwards of 24-inch striper on it. Not once did I feel like I was at risk of anything. But yeah, these rods have been working pretty phenomenal, to be honest, for what I was targeting. At one point, I did not get this on video, but during pre-fish, almost scary when I pulled it. I finally got it off the ground, but it was in about a 4 foot of water. It took me about 10-15 minutes just to get it off the bottom, but it was a huge ray, probably spanning at least 4 feet, at least minimum. And if anything, I'm understating the size of it, because I got it right up to, it was actually right up on underneath my kayak. But this rod was able to pull it up and get it up off the bottom. I mean, it took a while, obviously, because of the light action of it. Now, to go along with these rods, I actually ended up having the opportunity to buy these Quantum Accurist Inshore reels, the S3 Inshores. Honestly, performance-wise, I actually really like them. I like them. Especially because the drag's very nice. You guys hear it very well. So that when I was trolling and not worrying about it, like the drag is very nice and loud. So I actually liked it. Who doesn't like the sound of a screaming drag, right? So I have actually really liked these reels, the sound, everything. Now, the couple of things that I did not like about it, or actually it's really one thing that I didn't like about it. The one thing that I did not like about it is that it very easily gets unscrewed, very easily. I've been fishing. I kind of tighten it as tight as I can, but the thing is, as I'm fishing, sometimes I'll just kind of, I don't know what it is, but like when I'm hitting it or something like that, do this, see that it comes off so loose. It doesn't take much that, when you knock it just loose enough, it just dangles. So I feel like eventually what's going to happen is that I'm going to lose this handle. So that's something that I did not like about it. That I feel like I'm at very high risk. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to keep putting it to the test. Now drag, obviously I think it performs awesome. It's great. It's enough. It's light tackle, so you're not putting that much strain on the reels anyways. I have the 2500 and the 3000, but yeah, I think everything else is pretty nice. Now, one thing is that obviously everyone knows, don't dunk your reels, even if it's like waterproof. I mean, who's gonna literally just like submerge it in the water, right? With that being said, what ended up happening was I lowered my arm, and I didn't realize that I had lowered it. I had it longer or something like that, and I had dunked the reel in the water. And honestly, it wasn't for more than like a second at tops, because literally I did this and I realized, I looked up like this, and then it was all dripping and wet, right? But with that one dunk, that 1 second, typically, usually I feel like most reels they're able to tolerate at least that second or two, whatever. But as soon as I did that, at first it was fine. As I left it just for like maybe a minute or so, I realized that that it was starting to, the grease on the inside started stiffening up, and it started not functioning the way it should. It was getting very hard to reel. What I realized is that as I was winding, there was water flying out of these little parts here. So maybe it's because I'm used to waterproof reels, but I realized that water actually had gotten totally like, inside the reel that quick. So I took the handle off and opened up the nut here on this side. I ended up like blowing it, and all this water was flying out of it because I was simply just blowing it out of the reel. After that, it did stay stiff a little bit. It's actually this reel yet. I still have yet to clean it, to be honest. So I gotta do the cleaning here. But you'll see. I don't know if you guys heard that, but it's a little on the rough side. Yeah, it's a little bit on the grindy side, but it's still fairly smooth. Now, I will say the spray and just getting it wet from me touching the fish or getting my hands wet and reeling all that stuff, no problems whatsoever. It didn't feel grainy. It didn't feel like it was like getting jammed up or anything like that. It was literally only when I dunked it by accident. So, and I actually went through rain with these reels, and it did not do the same thing either. So really, I think it's just when it's submerged, all that water just kind of rushes in due to the water pressure. But when it's raining, or even after I rinse off with the hose, stuff like that, reel works fine. So it's not really about moisture getting on it. It's more about submerging the reel. So that is that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much sums up these rods and these reels. But the reel, I would say, I think that for what they typically cost, I personally feel like you might be able to get something a little bit better. I think, but considering the weight of these reels and the drag, the performance of them, I think that it falls into the okay category. I wouldn't hesitate to buy them. It's just that if there's other options out there, I might be looking into them. But obviously, that's I think these reels normally were I forget how much they were, to be honest. But I think they were in like the 140, 150 ballpark. But $50 more puts you into the Shimano Stratix and stuff like that. So I personally would love to get. I mean, if you guys don't believe me, look at the L6 or Jay's video where I actually caught his rod that had been submerged for a week in salt water, and it was working actually perfectly fine. Besides the fact that snails and whatever crap got in it, but yeah, other than that, it was working perfectly fine, like smooth. So $50, I think it's worth it to pay for that type of reel, to be honest. So, but no regrets buying the reels. Now, I will say I did actually get the Accurist S3 Inshore bait casting reel. Now that another funny story. I actually have it on my other rod. So if you guys see my Tangier Classic Inshore, the rod with the black and the orange, that was actually a custom made rod by me. I took a class at Custom Rod Builders. If you guys haven't looked into that, I'll put the link down below. I'm not sponsored by them, but I actually really enjoyed the class. If you guys want to know how to do basic repairs and stuff, I would say definitely highly recommend it. But that reel, I was actually casting it, and I had just caught in a bunch of trout. It was actually at last year's Tangier Classic. I made the cast, and all that slime on my hand, it just, the whole rod, like, everything flew out of my hand. It flew probably like 20 yards from me, to be honest. Like, because I whipped it, and it just flew. And I was like, oh shoot. And I just sat there, just sitting there thinking, oh crap, I just lost my rod. But I guess due to the weight of the reel and the buoyancy of the cork handle on that rod itself, it sank, but it was just submerged, kind of just barely. It's kind of just under the surface of the water. It just sat there for like 5 seconds. I was like, oh crap! So I rushed over and I ended up getting it back. That reel, believe it or not, no water got inside. Maybe it's just because there's less space in the bait cast reels, but I not once cleaned it since that time, and it works perfectly fine. So if I were to say, like, if you were to ask me that reel, I mean, would you buy it again? I think I would. I mean, it's just a 1000 series reel, but I'm loving that reel. It's very lightweight, very simple. Once again, just the overall feel, I do feel like the quality of like the Shimano and stuff like that is a little bit better, but based on the price comparison, I don't think I'll have any hesitation to buy that baitcast reel again. But that's just me. But yeah, that pretty much sums up what I have for review. I know that I said I would follow up with you guys on these few things here, so I was trying to catch up on it a little bit after putting some usage on these rods and reels, and on some decent fish as well on top of that. So I think considering even just that huge ray in itself, that was actually on the medium rod, by the way, not the medium heavy, and 10-pound test line, really, like, yeah, it really held up to weight anyway. And if you guys haven't fished a marsh, when you catch these 20 plus inch stripers in inches of water, and maybe, yeah, they practically fight like bonefish on the flats or redfish. The only way they have to run away is away from you. So when they go, they'll start screaming and running, and you guys probably noticed that with the drag running in the shallow water here. So I think it definitely put it to the test. But yeah, Sixgill Octant Rods and the Quantum S3 Inshore. That's the combos, and the Fishstik. All, I think, great products. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know, ask, and I will provide it to you, or give you any responses that you guys want or need from me, whatever I could provide anyway. So go ahead and ask away, leave the comments below, subscribe if you guys haven't already. We would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to get to that 1K mark here, hopefully soon. So definitely subscribe and support us when you can. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one.